Hello and welcome to a Pint of Cthulhu. Again, we go behind the bar of the Pint of Cthulhu, and this is very awkward because I'm on camera this time, although you won't be seeing this because it's audio only. Normally I don't have guests watching me as I do this, so it's kind of a bit unnerving.
Well, you're wearing clothes, so that's ahead of the game a little bit.
Well, he's got a
Sometimes
shirt
I
on. We don't know if he's got any bottoms on.
True,
Like to know.
true. This is the whole news presenter naked under the desk thing.
No, I can guarantee I am wearing trousers and underwear.
Did you see that video of the news reporter that was swearing at the camera?
Well, yeah.
Oh, when they were doing all that.
Yeah.
That was
Yes.
genius. So she was counting down, and it was a bit of fun. So there wasn't actually any malice behind it. She was just counting down in a stupid way
Yeah,
to
that's
make
what
them
he's
laugh. And yeah, well, genius. Absolutely
Misjudged
genius.
it just a bit. So as you can hear, that is the voices of the Channel 84 team. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Tom or TJ or whatever Rob chooses to call me on the day. Of arsehole, bastard, all sorts of things. Typically when the microphones aren't on, so you just won't believe that he actually calls me those. He does. Yeah, I'm one
It's not
part
true.
of the Channel 84 variety show.
Rob, I'm the other part.
Fair play.
Great conversation, mate. Great conversation.
Well, it's been a long time coming, this, since we did the Raelian March back in November, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it
it
was
must
a
have
while
been
ago.
November.
I think it was, damn. That's been a long time coming, just to say. But the first question we always ask any kind of guest, which I feel kind of weird because I'm a guest on your system, but we're using your system record. What would you say a pint of Cthulhu, if it was any kind of drink, would be?
Piss.
God damn it, Rob.
Fuck. Okay.
Oh, a pint of Cthulhu. Right, I'm going to go sensible on this one. Seeing Rob's gone with piss. Gonna
I'm
show him up a
joking,
little bit.
clearly.
Oh, clearly.
Clearly.
I am going to go. Oh, I tell you, and you know what? It's not going to be a nice drink. I'm sorry. It might be offensive to fans, but I don't think it will be a pleasant drink. It's going to be a drink that me and Rob know about through the pub we used to work together. And it came around one St. Patrick's evening, and we used to work for a chain pub through Mitchell and Butlers, and they used to send out every kind of holiday thing that would come round, these stupid lists of drinks. And the best ones were almost always J2O. They were like two J2Os mixed together, a bit of lemonade, and about 12 ounces of alcohol in there.
Yep.
But St. Patrick's came, and it was called a Silver Guinness. And it was Guinness with Red Bull. A Red Bull Shandy Guinness, basically. And I kind of see that darkness of Guinness and then the, oh shit, my heart's pumping because it's full of Red Bull, being a pint of Cthulhu. That is my choice there.
That sounds just
It's-
dangerous.
I don't think I ever had one because I don't like Guinness. So
We never sold one. There was
Yeah, I
never
would
one
never
on the
even tried it.
computer. That year, when it was a button on the till, not one got put through. Not even in the training and the testing phase that we were meant to have done. No one had one.
it sounds like it would just kind of like mix together and just be really revolting. Like lumpy.
exactly.
I'll have to
Not a
try
good
that.
idea.
What do I think it is? I said piss because of the Star Trek stuff that we do.
Yes, I heard.
I think that your logo is kind of how I'd think it would look. It'd be frothy. It'd certainly be like, and there probably would be a texture to it. Have you had one of those drinks they sell in Sainsbury's on the kind of Japanese food bit where it's got like aloe vera in it?
I've seen
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Have you ever
They're
had that?
revolting.
It's the next step up from orange juice with bits in it, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm thinking a really warm London
warm.
Pride. So a warm London Pride ale with a really frothy top like what you get on a Coke float. That kind of texture, like you could almost spoon the froth off, but then it's got lumps in it. The lumps are whatever you want to decide the lumps are, but that's what I think is in that mug.
You're foul.
That's quite descriptive, though. I'll give you that. We've had
Yeah,
all
what-
sorts. Sorry,
I was going to say, what's the worst one you've had?
probably that.
Putting you on the spot.
Um,
Fair enough.
I mean, we've had regular ones like different types of beers. We've had someone say like an endless bottomless abyss. I don't think we've had that.
Endless, bottomless abyss of piss.
Yeah.
Yeah, suppose.
Works. It tracks with all of the Cthulhu stuff.
It does track with the stuff we've said.
Fair play. So, right into the meat of it. What inspired you two to start actually creating a podcast, considering you did do the one before this, which was the Dad Chat?
It's all Tom.
Yeah, so we kind of had a podcast before it called Three Dads One Podcast, and I did one with another friend alongside that called The Land Before Prime. I've got some of those laying about the place, I think. And The Land Before Prime just was purely me and him looking at stuff that wasn't on... Well, we watched it on streaming, but things that people had forgotten about because we've got streaming services. So we were watching just old, terrible films, really, and talking about them. And things kind of happened along the way there where we could never kind of get timings aligned, and it kind of fizzled out. And then with Three Dads One Pod, I think kind of the same thing happened there, didn't it, Rob? It was
Yeah, we
harder and
we're
harder
only
to
doing,
get together.
We're doing it once a month. We're doing it once a month.
Yeah, once a month, and we were doing it remotely. We used to use Zencaster to do it, so because it was at the peak kind of lockdown.
Yeah.
It was impossible for us all to get together, and the third person that was on the show, Dan, was going through some changes in work as well, and yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time to do. Then I found out I was having tea, which made it all rather more exciting, that I was going to be a new dad as well as a stepdad, and that's kind of where that came from. But again, it kind of fizzled out through no fault of anyone, really. It was everyone had kind of differing lives going on there. As I said, I had tea on the way. I had Kay worrying about it because that's the sort of child she is, and then you had your own tea, didn't you, Rob?
Yeah,
that kind of was fairly new to the world at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it wasn't kind of really at the right time, was it? It was and wasn't, you know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It was good for our mental health to kind of talk about it, because it meant we were getting things out into public that we wanted to, and that we were all thinking that we did an episode about whether dads got enough help.
I remember that.
And that's not taking away anything from women at all. So let's just put a stop to that straight away. They deserve everything they get, with the support, the care, everything, because of what they go through. Yeah. But it was a discussion point about what about the men? Like, I think, Rob, you had the similar issue as I did. We got kicked out of the hospital until it was literally the time of the birth. I was a little bit luckier because it was a year later. Yeah. So lockdown wasn't as stringent, so I got to stay a little while after the birth. But you were kicked out almost straight away, weren't you?
I was allowed to see one scan. And even when we had to have specific blood tests during the pregnancy, when I was waiting to have mine, they were trying to kick me out. Like, you can't even be in the waiting room. I was like, no, I'm meant to be here. I've got documentation saying I have to be in this room. You can't kick me out. Yeah. And
it kind of just stung a little bit, because if something goes wrong, can you imagine your partner just being sat on a bed, being told something is wrong without you there, and then you having to hear it third party?
Yeah.
I remember listening to that. No, I remember listening to that because you sent me the episodes for that. I remember exactly what I was doing on that time as well, because I was thinking, Jesus, we had our kid probably just after everything started to ease off. But it was still very strict. The timings were very limited. But I was thinking, Jesus, if we'd have had him in like a month or two ago, we'd be in exactly the same kind of condition.
See, I was very lucky. Jem went into labour. It was summer, so I sat outside of Watford General on a park bench, and I literally watched 3 or 4 films on Netflix until I got the phone call saying, you can come up now. It was, as Rob said, it was something that we wanted to do at the time. Then it kind of fizzled out, and then a year and a half, was it? 2 years later?
Maybe not that long, because T's only 3. We've been doing this for
nearly a year come February.
Nearly a year doing Channel 84. So maybe it was about a year. I think about a year.
And we just both wanted to get back into being creative. I'd done a bit of YouTube, and just all I was doing was duplicating what was already heavily out there on the retro gaming scene and on the review of technology stuff sort of scene. So I wasn't feeling particularly creative doing that and getting a bit down and despondent. And
I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, you weren't doing anything. And you messaged me saying, let's get back into recording it. And the rest is kind of history. We kind of just cracked on with it, and it's worked really well.
Yeah.
Fair play.
We think. So far, so good, we think.
Yeah,
well, I'm enjoying it. I can definitely say I'm enjoying it. You know, you guys are actually really good to listen to. It's actually very informative, very interesting, and quite a good laugh.
Well, that's what we kind of aimed, because it was funny. We were kind of sitting there thinking, can we label this as a comedy podcast? Because what else do we label it as? And then we've had a few people say, oh, you guys are actually really quite funny and you've made us laugh a lot. So we've kind of left that comedy label on it. But we do, I guess it's hard because we try not to go down the whole, we're going to try and be stand-up comedians and make it funny. We just enjoy the fact that we can have these conversations that we do on the show that we'd probably just have in person if we didn't have a microphone in front of us.
I always feel like, we're not doing stand-up, and we're just silly. I think we're silly.
Yes.
And I think I always imagined if TJ and I had like a television show, it would be Shooting Stars. That's how I imagine our level of comedy would be at. You know, it's just hitting people around the head with a fake frying pan. You know, and that's where Pigeon come from. It was literally the dove from above.
That was it. Yes, it was.
It was literally the dove from above.
It was a knockoff dove from above because the dove from above couldn't attend, so he sent his cousin.
She couldn't. No, so she couldn't make it. I can't remember what reason I made up for. She couldn't make it. She was doing like the wedding circuit or something. I think I might have said in the episode. So they sent over Prison Pigeon. Yeah, that's certainly where I think our level of comedy is.
Yeah, definitely. No, and it really helps that we were both really on the same wavelength. I mean, we'd had quite a long period. I'll never forget, actually, Rob, is what you said. We have the sort of friendship that one of us can disappear for 4 or 5 years, and then you meet up at the pub the next day, and it's not like any time's passed. You just carry on. And there probably was a good, I want to say maybe even an 8 or 10 year period.
It was a large period of time, we kind of
me and
separated.
Rob hadn't chatted at all, really.
That's fair.
So, it's just, that's where it all originated from, really. It's just a couple of projects didn't really work out. We wanted to be creative, and this was it.
Yeah. Fair. Well, next one I've got is how do you choose your topics per episode? I know Star Trek is one of the biggest topics you guys do, considering you've now split half your show into that. But how do you choose the other ones? How do you get your ideas for this?
It's just life, isn't it? I think something's probably happened to one of us, and it just leads into, we go off on tangents as well.
God, yeah, tangents
really
are our favourite
easily.
thing.
One thing just leads to go, remember this, this. We were quite strict with the topics at the beginning, certainly. I feel like as it's gone a bit further on, almost we kind of just like, we might talk about this. TJ's already got like 3 or 4 bullet points, we're going to fit these in somewhere. And then that's it.
Exactly. We have a call sheet that we use, and normally before a recording, Rob will have sent me 300 voice messages of him driving in the van, either swearing or saying, God damn it, something else has happened again. And we're going to be talking about it on the podcast. But Rob's absolutely right. 99% of the time, it's just something has happened to us in the week or two before recording, and it's like that we're going to talk about it. Like the Untitled Trek show that we're recording straight after this. We were going to be recording about Lower Decks. Instead, we're now going to be recording about Star Trek Bridge Commander in VR, because it's a bloody awesome game, and we started playing it 2 days ago.
Yeah. Nice.
So, it's always on the fly. The main episode a little bit more so, because we'll have some ideas, and as Rob said on the call sheet, we'll put them down and say, these can be talked about at any point in the episode. allowing us to kind of go off on tangents and whatever. But I wouldn't say it's always firm. There's points where Rob or I will turn up and say, by the way, I'm adding this to talk about today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's life. It's just things that happen or things we've discovered, playing a game and, I want to talk about it. Go for it.
I mean, you'll know, Matt, you've got a little one. Things happen and it just creates mayhem and creates stories to talk about, you know.
Well, it does.
Okay, so, and this is how it pretty much happens, Matt. So I took Kate to bed tonight. She was pretty upset, bless her, because she told us she was upset about her guinea pig that died last year. So when she does that, we know something else has happened. And there's a kid at school who's apparently making her life a bit of hell, basically somewhat blackmailing her by saying, oh, well, you're not really my friend, you're horrible if you're going to go off and play with those other children, that sort of thing. You know how kids do.
Yep.
So I've tried cheering her up, and we finally got the truth out of her, and we've all sorted that one out. And then she's, I've got to go and have a poo now. So, thanks for sharing that. Go on, off you go and have a poo. And she's come back in and she's just looked at me. I watched me doing it. So that's really nice. Then she just burst into laughter. It's like, we're going to have to talk about this. This is going to be something that gets brought up. Not necessarily in fact, actually, could this be classified as therapy, Rob? Are we just being each other's therapists at this point?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
In a strange and twisted way. Why not? Why not?
Public domain therapy, yeah.
Sometimes it helps. People find help in the weirdest places.
Except for when Rob then suddenly starts saying, hello, it's ASMR time. I don't find that helpful at all. In fact,
I got him
just
back
done
for
it
that.
now.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, yeah, so someone else can suffer.
So I sent Rob a couple of those, or well, one of those already, haven't I?
Don't you worry, I've got all of these saved. I've got one of the best death rattles from Mr. Court that anyone's ever heard. I'm saving it for a really good. It's literally like 20 seconds long.
Oh, bloody hell,
Brilliant.
20 seconds.
So
long.
between that and some of the ones you've sent me, it's going to be a pretty naughty episode.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, I know the one you're on about. The only one. Well, if you want more saucy ones, just ask.
I would like anybody, anyone listening to this that, of your listeners that haven't ever listened to us before, if they're into Star Trek or any sci-fi, just send me audio clips of them either dying,
Yeah.
which is a good one I like, or just talking like science fiction nonsense, as if they're really there. Maybe they've got a dodgy tricorder, anything, where does the moisture come from in the holodecks? Any of that kind of stuff I want.
Yeah.
Background.
What you'd imagine the old actors to be going, rhubarb, 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 rhubarb in the background. We actually want to hear what those people in the background are saying, as we're trying to build a library of all this chatter. So when we Rob is kind of head of the skits here. But when a skit gets done, those files can then come in really handy, because then we can have all that background chatter and it'll just sound really good. It'll sound like things are going on, and I think a testament to that first one you did, and the second one, which I've now heard, is just it's pucker. It's really, really, really good.
Matt's heard it as well. I've sent it to Matt,
and it is not necessarily just because me and Rob are obviously awesome at what we do, but those background sounds that people have sent us have just made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So send us any of them. Go for it.
I'll let the team know. So, this kind of goes on to a new one. Can you share some memorable moments that you've had so far?
Ooh.
This is on the podcast, right? Not just going to go through my whole life.
Podcast, but hey, if you got a funny
birthday was
story.
pretty good, yeah.
On the
Go for
23rd
it.
of April 1984, I was born.
Yeah.
It was St. George's Day. It was sunny
It was
outside, I was told.
Great for everyone that day.
My God, right, memorable moments. We've had a few, but my favourite one still has to be, I tend to make Rob just break down for a good 5 minutes. Whenever we write a script and it says, ramble on for a few minutes about anything and everything. And at the Christmas one, I was Santa, and evil Santa, or whoever you want to refer to him as. And I just had to keep on saying weirder and weirder things that we were going to fade out, so me and Rob could talk over it and say, should we just fuck off, shall we? I think I got about 30 seconds in and he was gone.
I died. I think I might have died at that moment. It was one of the most funny things. Because the thing is, TJ is absolutely hilarious. And one of the reasons why he's so hilarious is because it's juxtaposed by how serious he can also be. Does that make sense? You know, he's a very techie, serious dad. And then at a flick of a switch, he is like Ricky Gervais, but ruder and cruder. Like literally like a light switch. And it just makes me die. Like, we did an episode, my favourite episode. I don't know if it came across as being one of our best ones, but it's my favourite one. And it was when he redid the Irony song.
Yeah.
And made all of the things in that song which she says are ironic actually aren't ironic. So he redid it and made it actually dictionary specific, as far as we can tell, ironic.
We still don't know if it was ironic.
We don't actually know because no one's told us. But the best ones that he did there were the ones that would last like 20 seconds of him explaining some mundane thing and how it becomes actually ironic. And I was just dying.
It was, why was a spider there?
Yeah, so it was spider.
That was it.
Yeah.
And that's where Irony Spider then came from.
Yeah.
But it was the whole line of a white fly in your Chardonnay, and in fact I can dig it out. Hang on, I've got them all in one note. And because he had so many of them, I just couldn't. I couldn't listen to the rest of them, because at that point, everything to me now, if you say it's ironic, I say it's not, because it hasn't got a spider in it. That's now irony to me. So it's a black fly in your Chardonnay. Should be. It's a black fly in your Chardonnay when actually you ordered a white fly and you're a spider.
Yeah, exactly. Just that, amongst all the other things, it just sounds so stupid, and that's why it's brilliant, because it makes no sense. Absolutely no sense, and I found that so funny. Yeah.
So yeah, I forgot about the ironic episode actually, and it wasn't even that long ago. We've got to start cataloguing these more. Yeah.
We need to get better at when we say something will be on the website to actually do it.
Ooh, moving on, Matt.
So, carrying on from that kind of thing, what challenges have you faced so far in podcasting?
Oh, I'll go first on this one. I've got to say, my biggest bugbear, and this has been through all of my history of doing, whether it was Three Dads One Podcast, whether it was before Prime, whether it was the YouTube side, and that's been audio quality. I cannot stand letting myself put poor audio quality up. So our latest episode, for example, I forgot to press record on the goddamn recorder. So I've had to use the camera footage's audio, and it's subpar. And I am so angry with myself over that.
What's funny about that, TJ, is that I never ask you, have you pressed record?
No.
And I kept asking you, didn't I? At the start of the episode, I kept, did you press record? Did you press record? Did you press record? And then I didn't ask you at that scene.
On that one, no.
That one scene, I didn't ask you.
But yeah, my challenge has always been to myself, I've got to make sure we get the best audio quality out there that we can. I can't face putting up what I'm not happy with, and it really, really gets to me if I do. So that's kind of been my ongoing challenge, is just how good can I make the sound quality? Can I make it better? And I think that's probably my biggest challenge. Rob?
I think it's not really, it doesn't feel like it falls under a challenge for me, but I have the same bugbear. I like it to sound as best as we can. I mean, when I was editing the last Trek thing that's coming out next week, for some reason, some of the bits where I sing have got really weird microphone artifacts in, which have just appeared. So it's like, for ball's sake, and I'm cutting bits out and going back to old stuff and bringing things in. There's a bit where somebody dies and there's a big squelching sound of them falling off of the thing, and then at the end I say something. I've had to completely cut it because for some reason suddenly that little clip has got like a microphone buzzing noise in it, which you could leave in because there's but I just cut the end of the joke because I'm not taking it out. And I could not find a way of getting that back in without re-recording. I was like, I don't want to re-record, I can't be bothered. So I just cut it out.
Sometimes you got to, though, don't you?
Well, this is it. There's been a couple of bits we have. I mean, quite often, one of the other challenges me and Rob both face is remembering not to use our children's full name.
Which we've done already in this.
Yeah.
We haven't.
I timestamped it.
15 minutes in, you said Kay's name.
Did I? Oh, shit. I'm glad someone's paying attention. But yeah, it's so hard because obviously day to day we don't go around referring to them as T and K.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, okay. I'll go back and reduce that then, and typically just go into the audio wave file and muck it about a little bit so it scrambles it. But the other big challenge we've got, and obviously this is going to help us hopefully, is getting listeners. Neither Rob or I are social media gurus or experts at all. We use it to the most basic level we can, and then we're quite happy with that, and we kind of abandon it at that point. And I kind of get the feeling that we need to kind of improve that game if we want to get our listener numbers up. So
I think so. Yeah, I mean,
that's the challenge for this year, isn't it?
We use it as a tool for this, and not really as social media for ourselves anyway. I mean, I certainly do. I mean, I've got a Facebook page, but if you see me post on there, it's once a month. You know, I go on there every now and again to see if I've been tagged in something. And I kind of want to get rid of it, if I'm honest. I've got rid of it before. I went for a couple of years without having it, and then my brother-in-law convinced me to play some Star Wars game, and the only way you could log in was having a Facebook account, so I got it back, and suddenly everyone can find you, and like, I didn't add anyone, everyone's adding me, you know, like, ugh, I've been found. But yeah, it's I don't know if it's a frustration, it's just a difficulty, is how do you get your podcast to people? And yeah, as TJ said, one of our biggest followings is on Facebook, I think, and it's completely neglected by us completely.
Yeah, it gets the audio clips uploaded to it, and that's pretty much it. Randomly, Good Pod seems to have picked us up, and we seem to do quite well on there. But it really is about kind of trying to get those numbers up now. We want to see an increase, although it doesn't really matter to us, and genuinely that's the truth. We enjoy doing what we're doing, and like we said earlier, even if the microphones weren't in front of us, we'd still be chatting about the same sort of stuff anyway. But it would be nice to see some bigger numbers.
It is the trickiest part about anything. Those numbers, I know what you mean by that. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but you get like an adrenaline rush from it, don't you?
Absolutely.
You get that dopamine hit.
I mean, I remember getting the highly excited voice message from you, Rob, about the Good Pods thing. I'd literally woken up, checked my email, and seen Good Pods had said, "Oh, you're number 60-something in the indie comedy weekly chart."
Yeah.
And that blew us away. And then watching it over the next 2 weeks, I think we got to 13 or 14. 14.
Just before Christmas, we got to 14 on the indie, and I think we got to 38 on the whole
comedy
main
one. Yeah.
Comedy one.
That is very impressive.
We were super chuffed about that. That all just comes down from interactions from people.
Absolutely.
Because we were posting every day with the Advent, but that's not how that's rating you. It's rating you on how many listens you're getting, how many people are sharing it, commenting on it, liking it. Even if it's 1 star to 5 star, it doesn't matter. I don't think the algorithms care. Like with YouTube, they don't care if it's a like or a dislike. It's an interaction, and that's all that matters. I saw one content creator, I think I messaged it to you, Matt, and he was talking about the little clips they do on YouTube, what they call the story things.
The shorts.
And he was like, I don't care. Like it, dislike it, don't matter to me. But also, like, don't send it to just subscribers, send it to everybody. And what did he say the other day? It was like, you know, and all the people that comment negatively on them, he goes onto it, deletes those comments, and then when they go back onto the same story, goes, he's deleting my comments. He's like, I'm just farming them for like 2 comments just to get the algorithm to boost him up even more, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care that these people are saying bad or good things or whatever. I would prefer people were saying good things, obviously, and like it, because that's the point. We don't want to make things to upset people and not like.
No,
but you're fighting some algorithm that no one understands.
And both of us are fairly... I wouldn't say we're both fairly anxious people. We're fairly strong-minded, but I know that the first time we see a bad review, that's gonna properly kick us down for a little while. Anyway, I don't think it's going to stop us. Obviously, I think we'll just take it. It will probably play on our minds for a month or so, but we are not looking forward to that day, and it'll happen. There'll be. Someone out there at some point will come across us, listen to us, and go, well, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the inevitable truth, isn't it? It's still going to happen at some point.
We can't be liked by everyone. Let's put it that way.
Everyone's been lovely so far.
But
they have.
People who don't can always be wrong.
Oh,
yeah, you're all wrong.
But that's one of the things I like, though, about the community we've got so far, is everyone has been so interactive with us. Be it Karen, our patron saint of the podcast, or yourself, Matt, or any of the people that have come from APOC over to our Discord.
Flower.
Everyone's just been so lovely at getting
Flower.
involved and messaging and talking to us. It's been brilliant, and if anything, actually, I'd say that's probably been my favourite part of it, is meeting so many people online and getting their responses to what we're doing and getting their ideas of what they would like to see us do. Their contributions have been brilliant.
Receiving that first "Do you remember" from somebody else was brilliant. Yeah, I think that was Karen, actually.
That was Karen. Yes, she was the first guest. Do you remember? And funny enough, I've literally just had one come through Facebook Messenger from a joint friend of Rob and I's, Andy Compton.
Oh, okay, wicked. I did see his message. Yeah.
So we will see what he suggests, and we'll bring that one up into the next episode.
Fair. Well, that kind of already answers one of the next questions, which was going to be, how do you engage with the audience and gather feedback? Considering you've already just answered that, probably move on to the next one, eh?
Yeah.
Well, Discord has been our new favourite thing. When we discovered that and saw how easy it was to set up, and the ability to make it like old school forums, that's been a game changer. Love it. It just feels so retro in what it is anyway. So getting people on board with that is what we're aiming for. But yeah, otherwise it's just been Twitter. I refuse to call it X. And that's been the main route, really, I think.
Yeah. I think really the Discord, we want it to be more than just people who like the show. We want it to be people who like the same things as us. You know, there's whole different sections, like TJ saying, it's like a forum now. We've got like a gaming section, a movie section. I think do we have a book section? We might have had a book section in there. We've got everything.
We will.
Yeah, there's, if somebody says to us, if we see it, because we've got like the main feed, the everything else feed, when things appear in there, that kind of spawns other bits. We've done a watch along with a Star Trek episode, but before that we were doing step by step kind of our thoughts as we were watching it in Discord. We've reviewed TV shows. I think I've done Interview with a Vampire. I've got reviews of every episode in there. We've got loads of stuff. Not just a podcast. We've got a website as well that we haven't been writing on that frequently recently, but previously we have. And we are going to get back into doing it. We've got even guest people want to do a few things for us on the website. There's loads of stuff.
Yeah.
That's reminded me of something. How's your tarot reading going?
I'm waiting to do Gem's reading.
Yeah, we need to organise you to come and do my. Oh, no, I'm not going to say come and do my wife.
Well,
You've said it now.
There's options, TJ.
God
There's
damn
options. If that's what the cards tell.
Well,
Who
bear
knows
in
what
mind,
the cards might say?
My wife has already turned around and said, "Look, if you're cheating on me, at least it's with Rob, and she's okay with that now."
Yeah.
She has considered him my husband, so we're sort
enough.
of. But yeah, we do need to organise you to come and do a reading for Gem, as I think she'd quite enjoy that.
That'd be quite
Did
fun.
you ever
And if
read?
no one knows.
Did you ever read your wives?
She doesn't want me to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she doesn't believe in any of those things, but at the same time, doesn't want to,
Risk
poke
it.
me either or anything. Yeah.
Well, that's the difficulty, isn't it? You don't believe in it. You have a reading, and it's spot on.
Yeah.
Shit, what do I do
then?
in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Fair dues. Well, I can see the microphones you guys are using, but for those that can't, what kind of equipment do you use for your podcast?
Do you want me to field that one, Rob, or you?
Oh, all the stuff I have is TJ stuff. This is a Rode microphone I'm using at my house that TJ gave me. I've got some headphones that came free with my phone like 3 or 4 years ago, some Bose headphones. But we use it as Marantz.
Yeah, so our main microphones that we use when we record, because we very rarely do remote recording, we're normally together. We have a Zoom H8 recorder, so that's the weird spider looking one that's got, so I think 6 XLR inputs. all sorts on there. Then we've got a couple of Marantz microphones that we've got 3 in case we ever have a guest, but we run those to a couple of mic stands that have got nice springy mic heads on there so we don't get the vibration. And then whatever headphones we've got go into that, and that's pretty much the kit we use. And then if we do remote, Rob's got a Rode USB Pro that I sent over to him that I didn't use anymore, and I'm using a new toy that I've bought through work because it's going to be tested to see for our CEOs and our bigwigs at work who kind of do the annual meeting over Teams. It's a Marantz Professional Turret, so it's got a 1080 camera built in. It's got the similar microphone to the one we're using for the main recording built in, all done through a single USB. It's got a little ring light on it so it lights me up, and it's got all the inputs you need on it if you're going to plug it into your computer. I don't think it's quite as good as the microphones we're normally using, but it's pretty damn close.
So it sounds pretty damn fancy.
Well,
it looks really space age too.
My favourite thing I'd say about the equipment we use is the most expensive was the Zoom recorder. The microphones are £31 each, and that comes with a little kit, little table stand, the mic mount with the springy elastic, and a single kind of XLR cable. And for 30 quid, they sound phenomenal. They sound really, really good. And I'd spent ages on YouTube looking at reviews, and everyone was saying, although they're not as good as I think it's the Shure 97Bs or something like that everyone uses on podcasts nowadays, they were saying they sound similar to, which I found hard to believe, but listening to it now, I'm really pleased with it. So I don't think I'll be changing them anytime soon.
I think they just don't bother changing them. I don't think anyone will bother. No one's ever complained that they're not any good. And
well, when you consider, as much as I care about the audio quality, I also remember that people are going to be listening to it in their car, listening on an Alexa of some sort, or with headphones. So fidelity doesn't necessarily have to be the greatest. It's just, I think that's just me being an audio kind of freak, wanting it to sound really good when I'm editing.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that when I'm driving around the van's audio is so appalling. Like if I re-listen to, because I'll re-listen to the skits that we do quite a few times to make sure we're not miss something, and I'm really fussy with timings for the jokes and things in them, and you can't hear half of the sound effects in the van. They're just not picked up. When you put headphones on, you hear so much more. Like for an example, your character in the next episode, Matt, has some footsteps. In the van, you cannot hear them at all. They just don't come through. But your headphones on, you can hear them clear as day, exactly how I heard it when I edited it. So I think there is probably quite a few people that, like me in a dodgy van, aren't able to pick a lot of stuff up. So as long as the voice specifically is clear, I think that's all you got to worry about, really.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, my mics are just behind me, so hang on a moment.
I'll say the output will always sound different depending on where you are.
Yeah.
As you guys said, I mean, my car, my earphones, these headphones, and about 3 or 4 other things that I listen to all sound so different.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're using.
There's a little hint about future podcast stuff in the background there that TJ's blocking.
Really?
The mask in the background.
Oh yeah, we still haven't done anything with those.
No.
I'm looking forward. There you go. So we're using Marantz Professional MPM 1000s, and they're just simple mics, but
they feel really premium as well. I was really impressed with them.
They've got a really nice weight to them. They're a metal body, and when we put them into audition and edit, they sound good to us.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing: if you ever look for a new one, go for the Blue Yeti, but before Logitech took them over.
I used to have a Yeti mic, and I adored it, and a friend of mine lost it.
I got it into frame.
Oh, I can see it on my doing the landscape picture on my phone. I can see it.
Can you?
Like a big. Well, I'm
yeah.
not gonna say what it looks like. Got knobs on it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the table mount ones. I've just left them on so I don't lose the damn things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, eventually they'll just go walkies.
Yep.
Well, back onto thing. How do you end up staying organised and consistent with your schedule?
I think, like Rob says, we go off on way too many tangents to ever say we're organised.
We are not organised. That's not something I'd say we are. But mate, okay, no, I'd say we're organised in the content has organisation, as in like the scheduling and stuff. We're organised there.
Yeah.
We always make sure TJ's very good at making sure we have all the right equipment and we know what we're doing. But yeah, I don't think the show's particularly organised all the time. We just talk too much rubbish.
And also when it comes to on the schedule side, we're pretty bad. We'll say we're going to record a night. We do. It's very rare that we actually say, you know what, I can't record tonight after all, so let's move it to another one. That's typically childcare issues for one of us.
9 times out of 10 is
will be the reason that we've stopped, or one of us has developed COVID. That sort of thing stops us recording, which is fine. That's understandable. A lot of it is we kind of get that almost like that ADHD procrastination of I'm going to sit on this, I'm going to sit on this, I'm going to sit on this. Shit, we need to do it. Let's do it. And the Christmas episode was a prime example of that. We recorded part 2 before we'd recorded part 1 because I'd written the script the night before we met because just again unorganised, I guess, and we knew it was coming. We just hadn't really either done it or had time to do it, and we recorded it, and then what was it, a week and a half before we... No, it was about 2.5 weeks, wasn't it? Because it was just before Christmas. We actually recorded part 1. Robert got COVID, so we ended up having to do it over Riverside.
Yeah.
And we managed to get kind of part 1 out and do it literally, I think, a day and a half before it was released. And then some of the Advent stuff, we kind of recorded those a day before they were starting. And then the second half of them was when I got back from the Netherlands for a business trip. Again, about 2 days before we needed to actually upload them and get them live. So we aren't always the best at scheduling. We have ideas, it's just they don't get forgotten about. It's just not scheduled in.
It's hard because, you know, it doesn't take much for one of the kids to suddenly be ill or, you know, and then suddenly that just throws it out and you've got to... It's priorities, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think so far on this run of... Because the 3 dads, we messed it up a lot. There's a lot of times things didn't come out. It just wasn't happening. And I think that the keeping things... I'm struggling to think of what the word is. But having things continuously come out every week, routinely, is what will make you grow and what people will want. They really like that Monday or Tuesday or Friday, whenever it is people's podcasts come out.
We have missed one release day.
We missed one so far.
And we released the following day and we put up a
bonus
archive episode the day it should have been released. So we still released something. So yeah, we can say that at least. We can say we've always lived to what we've said we'll set. So yeah, I think it was 3 Dads, 1 Porno. 3 Dads, 1 Porno? No, that's completely different. That's a completely different podcast.
Wow.
I can't. Why? Oh, yeah, my dad.
It's because you're thinking of why we were called 3 Dads, 1 Pod. That's why.
Yeah, probably. That was it. You're right. And
it has to do with porn.
Matt's now trying to think of. Yeah. And are we going to say why we were called that? Or we're just going to leave it for people to guess?
There was a 2 girls something in the past. And
2 girls, 1 something.
Oh. I know that video.
There we go.
So yeah, it was a bit of ploy on that one. But at one point, I mean, we only ever got about 8 episodes out. But I think by episode 4, a lot of the podcast apps were saying may have finished in their little bit where it generates saying when's the next release date. If you look at them, all of them work it out. So if you're regular recording, it will say, oh, this is normally released on a Monday. So all of ours, for example, are showing released on a Monday weekly or bi-weekly. And 3 Dads, 1 Podcast, at one point, I think it was either Pocket Cast or it was Apple Podcasts, basically said this show may no longer be broadcasting or whatever it was, as we'd left it so long between episodes.
Yeah.
I've not seen that on any of them. I'll have to have a check on that now.
I've got to say, I haven't noticed that.
No.
Yeah, it's the little things. Let me just check Pocket Casts quickly. I know some of them you can set. I know Apple, for example, you can go onto their Podcasters Connect system, claim your podcast under there, and you can say, actually override the RSS's version of what genre this should be, and also make sure people know it's released on these days, not what you think it is. Where am I? Channel 84.
I can't stand Apple. I've never had luck with the Apple one. Cartman, I think, has the permissions for the Apple one because he's the only one with an Apple account.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Pocket Cast, so I've just expanded our show, and because of the whole Advent calendar, it's now says the Channel 84 Variety Show released daily. Next episode today.
Oh,
You're shit out of luck then.
just a
But
bit.
it will work itself out. It will go back and realise, okay, no, it's changed. So it should change back once it's picked up us back on our regular normal Monday releases.
I'll have to look into that one. Well, we're getting kind of towards the end of time now, so have you got any kind of tips for anyone that's looking to start their own show?
Just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the problem is if you look on social media, the first thing you'll get is a lot of old school podcasts saying, don't do it, there's too many podcasts already. And they're kind of trying to protect their ground that they've already kind of
It's
sown.
gatekeeping. It's just gatekeeping.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. The biggest issue is don't try and be the big non-indie podcasts, because you'll never get there at this point. Unless you are somebody famous, let's say, I think Gary Neville's got his own bloody podcast. I don't follow football, but I know Gary Neville's got a sodding podcast. And all it is a company's gone to them and said, here's a huge sum of money, you now have a podcast, and they'll do it for 12 episodes or whatever, and then it's forgotten about. It's like a toy to them. But no, do it. Just go on, have fun with it. The biggest thing I would say is get your kit right in your head. It doesn't necessarily have to be expensive kit. Just get kit that when you play it back through a pair of headphones, if it sounds good to you and you would happily listen to it, then that quality's fine.
Yep.
Then do a few practice episodes, learn how to edit them. Again, use Audacity. You don't have to put money into it. Don't go out and buy all the kit to start with. Start basic and build a following, I guess, but it's the build a following that even we're stuck on at the moment. So just really think about what you're planning on talking about.
And if you are focusing on numbers, which shouldn't really, but if you are, don't expect to see numbers for ages and ages. You know, you're going to be talking to no one.
Yeah, unless you've got the best idea in the world for a podcast that no one else has done, and that there's kind of everyone is secretly realizing that that's what they need to listen to. Yeah, don't expect the numbers, but also try and be different. If you're going to say, I'm going to start a podcast on God damn it, Rob. If I'm going to start doing a podcast on film reviews, you've got to find something different that you're going to do, because I can tell you now, you won't get anywhere with film reviews unless you've got some little fun thing that you do that no one else does.
You've got your own gimmick, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favourite ones, talking of other podcasts, is the Sequelizers. Stuart Ashen started it with a few people, and it was
I loved that.
Brilliant. Yeah, and basically the whole thing was they look at film sequels and then they say, how could we have done it better? And they used to write their own script and come up with their own idea for an entire sequel film of how they think it should have been. And that's what they're still doing in a slightly different way now. But it was a great way of reviewing a film and then saying how you could have improved it. And there was no one else out there doing it at that point.
Yeah, I remember that. I must admit, I stopped listening to it when Ashton's left, because I felt the chemistry died a bit.
I don't know if the chemistry died for me. It was more that I listened to it periodically, but they changed the format. I really enjoyed the format where they went away and they wrote in teams their own version of what the sequel should have been, and then did their poorly acted versions of them. I really enjoyed that. And then they kind of limited it more to just talking about what the sequel should have been. It's still good, and yeah, you're right. When Ashen's went, there was a particular change in the relationships you could hear, but it's still enjoyable. It's still something very different if you like film. I'm looking at you, Rob.
I only know that podcast because you've sent it to me.
I didn't even realise I'd sent it to you, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd never seen it. I've
tell
lost
you
track
what.
of what the question was.
That's fine. I'll tell you what, considering you got
And
me
welcome
thinking
to
there,
the Channel 84 Variety Show.
what other shows do you listen to? I just thought of this one, so that could be interesting.
Oh, okay. Well, previously, I would kind of listen to. I really listened to audiobooks, but when it came to podcasts, I was listening to like interviews. I'm really into Louis Theroux, so I found some like Louis Theroux ones, and I was kind of just floating around. Like everybody, I probably listened to Ricky Gervais a bit. My first podcast were the Yogscast's Yogpod. Which,
I remember that.
yeah, they were.
You got to be hardcore pornography.
They were my first outing into podcasts.
I love those.
I will still listen to that again and again and again, but only the original ones. So when it was really just Lewis and Simon for the first kind of year, they did it, and then I don't listen to the one they do now with Lewis Sips and I don't really watch them at all anymore. But then really TJ got me into Cheap Show, which is probably one of the funniest things I could ever have listened to. Atletico Mints, which is Bob Mortimer. It's supposedly football, which is a really loose thing because it's not really. Like, they talk about football, and he does a lot of character sketches being football players, but they're so off the wall. I mean, if you know Bob Mortimer and his comedy, imagine that, but he's pretending to be a footballer. Or like he has really good sketches where he pretends to be English managers. So not managers in England, actual, they're English, and how it's always English managers that get fired. Well, the plot of his thing is that they're doing it on purpose to get money and just get the payout. So they're purposely like ruining football teams just to get money and pays out. They're actually, he does a great Peter Beardsley impression as well. It's hilarious. What else? Killer Rabbit I'm really into as well. I like listening to them. You guys I listen to. You were the first... you and Dungeon Daddies. If you've ever listened to Dungeon Daddies.
Yeah.
Do you know Rocket Jump? Do you remember the YouTube channel Rocket Jump?
No.
No? Yeah, I think you'd know their videos. For life of me, can't remember the guy's name now, who's the main guy for Rocket Jump. But they do a D&D podcast. And it's really heavily story-based. Like, the game is in there, but it's not really. There's a few dice rolls, but really not very many. And you guys I listen to from meeting you. I will say that's how I know you guys, from actually meeting you specifically. And that's led me to I've started listening to Stumble Tables as well. Those guys who we met on your pod as well. They're really nice guys, aren't they? They're really funny as well.
Face meat.
So we got I mentioned that in one of our episodes, the face meat thing.
Yeah.
What's Wrong, Rolfie, and Who Takes the Socks Off are ones I've just started as well.
Yep, same here.
Which is similar kind of stuff. They do a lot of talking about films and that kind of stuff. I know Who Takes Socks Off haven't done anything for a while. They're just starting up again this year. So who else? I don't miss anybody, because we do talk to a lot of people. I do actually listen to them. You know, when these people join the Discord or talk to me on Twitter, I do go and listen to their stuff because I think that's the right thing to do, really.
Absolutely.
If someone listens to us, I want to listen to them
as well.
too. And I'm finding actually I really like it as well. I don't think I'm missing any, but sorry if I am. But they're the ones that, when an episode comes out, I try and listen to. Definitely. I get my phone. Oh, it's right in front of me, isn't it? The camera's going to disappear. Where are we looking at?
While Rob's
TJ
looking,
talk, while I try and find.
I was going to say, while you're looking then, Rob, so I used to, before I was back in the IT, work in the ambulance a lot. So I was doing emergency ambulance work, I was doing granny shuffling, I was doing event work, you name it, we did it in the company I was with. So I used to listen to talk radio a lot, and as exciting as that can be, there is a limit. And I've tuned into what was Virgin Radio back in the day, and they had these Australian pair had taken over the radio station, and they were doing something called Caravan of Courage in Ireland, Scotland and England. And I was like, what the bloody hell is this? And I just found them really relatable and very funny. And they were called Hamish and Andy, and they're an Australian duo, and they basically are like radio gods out in Australia, I guess. They kind of used to do prime time, drive time sort of radio. They've done breakfast radio. They've done a load of TV stuff. Heavily recommend looking at Hamish and Andy's holidays. They do a Euro trip and all sorts, where they go out to various countries and they have to end up doing tasks and so. All very good. They're a pair of comedians. One of them does Lego now. The big channel there. A big TV show purely based on Lego kind of challenges. It's just really good fun. So they were the first ones, and I think that was about 2010. I stumbled across them, so that was the first time I kind of opened up a podcast app in my life. And kind of stemming from that, I kind of discovered Answer Me This, which seemed to be kind of a lot of people's staple podcast to go to, which was just it was just good fun comedy sort of thing of people sending in their questions and them answering it sarcastically. And then I kind of, from there, just random points. No Such Thing as a Fish kind of cropped up on the timeline. Listened to a couple of those, really liked them, so started listening to that. Then one of the hosts of Answer Me This went off and did his own show as well, called The Modern Man, which I've been listening to, which is, I highly recommend it. He kind of calls it a magazine style show, so he's got set kind of magazine segments he does every time. There's a sex bit at the end, which is always very good. They've got a music bit, they've got a life piece. I mean it's in the news at the moment. This will date this interview, but the whole post office incident, he was ahead of the game. He had an interview with one of the postmasters that was actually imprisoned over the whole thing. They spent time in jail over the whole goddamn thing. And that wasn't their fault. And yeah, it's kind of just expanded out. Then Cheap Show, that's been one of my longest running podcasts I've listened to. And like Rob said, the recent ones, KRP, that's all appeared. Tom Scott's Lateral, really, really worth listening to if you like Tom Scott. Go and listen to that as well. Good little quiz show. No points, and it really makes you think. If you like rude comedy, Do the Right Thing was absolutely fantastic. It was I can't think of her name now. She did Virgin Radio with Dave Gorman in the morning, and she.
Oh, Dave Gorman. Oh.
I like Dave Gorman. Do you know?
I love Dave Gorman. Yeah.
Dave Gorman.
Finding all the other Dave Gormans.
Dave Gorman's radio show that we was with. I can't think of her name. It's on the tip of my tongue as well. It's really annoying me. Sent me the year's supply of soft mints for a story
really?
I sent them to read out. Yeah, but that's it kind of. And then the most recent one, my brother found me. It's a really, really geeky BBC one called The Lazarus Heist, and it's all about North Korea hacking Sony, and then North Korea's hacking attempts and what they're doing to cybercrime. And it's just, I binged it in about 2 days, I think.
Oh, well, fair play. Well, I think we should probably wrap this up. You guys have got a busy schedule after this. So, lastly, where can people find you?
Shall I let you do this one, Rob?
Oh, I don't have the call sheet in front of me. We're everywhere. We're on Twitter at _channel84 for the show, but that's mainly TJ, or at FlatRob, which is me specifically. You can email us at rob@channel84.co.uk or TJ at channel84.co.uk, or is it podcasts with an S plural at channel84.co.uk. We've got a website, channel84.co.uk, which, go have a look at stuff. We've got some cool stuff on there. And we're on every other thing. Just look for _channel84 or just channel 84.
Just look up Channel 84 Variety Show. We're on Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, our own webpage, Discord. You can find us on all of those, and we are really willing and happy to chat to you. If you've got an idea for the show, send it to us. We'll probably use it. We'll call you out, and you know what? You want to come on the show, let us know, and I'm sure we'll work something out.
Might have to hold you up on that one. Well, thank you very much for your time, lads. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully people listening will come over to join you guys soon, because, as I say, these guys are very much worth listening. Well, thank you for setting this up.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I will get the files sent over to you before the end of the evening.
Thank you very much, and I'll probably stick it up for the next Friday.
Awesome stuff, right? Take care.
Love you, bye.
Bye.